Have you ever been told your dreams are too big, too impossible, or just plain foolish? Well, there was once a young boy who was fired for not being creative enough. And that same boy went on to create a magical empire that changed the world forever. This is the inspiring story of Walt Disney. A story of endless imagination, relentless persistence, and a dream that never gave up. Walt Disney is more than a name, more than a brand, and more than just the man behind Mickey Mouse. He was a visionary who believed in building worlds out of dreams, who saw castles in empty fields, and who proved that magic isn't something you find, it's something you create. But behind the fairy tales and fireworks lies a journey filled with heartbreaking failures, crushing debt, betrayal, and the kind of challenges that would make most people quit. Yet Walt Disney kept going. Born in 1901 in Chicago, Walt grew up in a hard-working but poor family, moving from city to city, working odd jobs from a very young age, delivering newspapers before dawn and helping on the farm after school. And while life was tough, Walt always escaped into drawings, cartoons, and his wild imagination. As a teenager, he lied about his age to join the Red Cross during World War I, and even overseas, he filled ambulances with cartoons and sketches, turning pain into art and fear into creativity. When he returned, he dreamed of becoming a successful cartoonist. But life had other plans, and reality hit hard. Walt faced rejection after rejection, lost jobs, and even his first animation studio, Laugh-O-Gram, went bankrupt, leaving him broke and living on beans in a tiny room. It was during one of the lowest points in his life, riding a train with only a suitcase and a sketch pad, that Walt came up with the idea of a little cheerful mouse, a character full of energy, optimism, and joy, and he named him Mickey. With barely any money but tons of passion, he created Mickey Mouse and released Steamboat Willie in 1928, which was one of the first cartoons with synchronized sound, and people loved it instantly. Mickey wasn't just a character, he became a symbol of hope, happiness, and the belief that one small idea could change everything. Even after Mickey's success, Walt faced betrayal. His animators were stolen by competitors, his character Oswald was taken from him, and he constantly battled to keep his studio alive. But he kept pushing, kept innovating, creating beloved characters like Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto, and then took a massive risk in 1937 by producing the world's first full-length animated film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Everyone thought it would fail. Critics called it Disney's folly. But when it finally premiered, the world stood and clapped. Snow White became a masterpiece, earning millions and turning animation into serious cinema. But Walt wasn't done. He had a bigger dream, one that everyone thought was crazy. A place where children and adults could step into a world of wonder, live inside stories, and make memories that would last forever. Despite being told it would never work, Walt mortgaged everything, borrowed money, and poured his soul into building Disneyland. The opening day was a disaster. Rides broke, water fountains didn't work, counterfeit tickets caused chaos. But Walt smiled through it, fixed what was broken, and turned Disneyland into the happiest place on earth. It was a place born from one man's imagination, courage, and refusal to give up. A place that continues to inspire millions. Walt Disney never stopped dreaming. Even in his final years, he was planning Disney World in Florida, designing Epcot, and imagining new ways to blend technology with storytelling. When you hear the name Walt Disney, you probably think of Mickey Mouse, fairy tales, or theme parks filled with magic. But behind all that wonder was a visionary man who turned imagination into reality. And one of his biggest dreams? Disneyland. He passed away in 1966 before he could see it all finished. But his vision, his values, and his voice live on in every film, every ride, and every child's smile that walks through a Disney park. He taught us that failure isn't the end. It's just a step on the road to success. And that magic isn't something you're born with. It's something you build with passion, pain, and perseverance. Walt Disney once said, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." And his life proved exactly that. From a poor paperboy to a creative king, Walt showed the world what can happen when you refuse to give up on your dream, no matter how impossible it seems. So next time you feel like quitting, remember the boy who dreamed of a mouse and built a kingdom